record it on this computer, and then I will send it to you, the link to you, and you can download it. Okay. So let's share. I'll share my computer. And I think it's this one, I hope. Okay. Can you see it?
It is loading. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Yep, I see it.
Okay. All right. So recently, the Washington Redskins, a football team based in Washington, D.C., have come under criticism for their use of Redskins as the team name and mascot. Several Native American tribes and groups have asked the team to change their name, pointing out that this is a derogatory term for Native Americans. So, do you think that the name Redskins displays racism?
I think it's not intended to be racist.
Okay.
So in my opinion, I don't believe that it displays racism because of, the intention, but I kind of understand, Native Americans, they take it that way. And so I think, they shouldn't have that because of, how the Indians, Native Americans feel about it.
Right. So I don't know if you saw the whole thing back and forth, but we each have to turn in our own paper. And so we only have to write down our own replies on this.
Okay.
So unless it asks for I sent you a copy where we did the brainstorm where we came up with all those ideas. So I sent you a copy of that one.
Okay.
From last time. But anyway, so that's why I'm not typing anything, because I'm gonna do it again. So, but
that's perfect.
So anyway, so I personally don't think Redskins is racist. I mean, I could see maybe changing the mascot to not be an Indian, but I mean, I really just don't think red skin. I get red skin when I get scalded with water. I mean.
It's like calling us white.
Or cracker.
Yep. You little white cracker. Yeah, I got that a lot.
Yeah. So if somebody said, "Hey, cracker," I have had a couple of, I work with some people of different colors, and I've had, when they're mad at me, "Hey, cracker." Okay, I get it. But, I'm not going to be mad about being called a cracker. Now, if you call me fluffy white dough, I may be really mad at you, but,
And I'm like, that's when you're attacking me personally based on how I look.
Yeah. So I don't think that, I mean, I don't, are we going to make the 49ers change their name?
True.
Are we going to only become where do you draw the, I mean, I realize that this is, they used to call Indians Redskins. I get that. Oh, hang on just a second. Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. So I'm going to answer this phone call. Let me pause for just a second.
Okay. Because
my granddaughter's going trick-or-treating. Hey! Sorry. So I wouldn't mind if, if somebody, well, number one, because I don't think that they would really pick to, I guess, I mean, they are derogatory to whites, but I guess not as much. So I met with a sociology professor. He's retired, but he was, I used to know him because he worked on the college where I work. And so I met with him today because he was in town. I'm like, can you help me with my assignment? And so he pointed me in the right direction of for our term papers that we're writing, our research papers. So
That's okay.
So okay. All right. So what would your response to a team with a different derogatory term as a mascot, like chink or Pollock?
I feel like those are a lot more derogatory. That's like having a team called like the N-word,
Yeah, I totally agree that is, I can see where that is totally derogatory. I had a teacher when I was in, and this is a long time ago, but when I was in 7th grade, call me Ivansky and tell me I was a Polak.
Oh my goodness.
I have no Polish ancestry at all. Okay, none that I can find. Maybe on my husband's side, but not on mine. And so for him, so I can see where that. But I don't put that in the same. That would be like naming a team Crackers, the Crackers. And I definitely root for that team. I don't think Cracker is as bad as Polak or Chink. Because so lots of people could be red-skinned.
True.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. And I think, now this is just like personal, but I feel like a lot of times, like a derogatory term is also like how people kind of take it. Because,
right.
I mean, like today, like a black person can call a black person like, what's up, Nick? And I don't, like, I never, like, they say like, what's up, Nick? But like, if I were to say it, then like I'm a bad person,
Oh, so okay. So case in, you're definitely right, because my friend has a friend of color, and she was complaining about the plight of her race. Okay, and so the person of color was open and sharing a whole bunch of stuff. So my friend, who is white, said, well, have you ever, and then the person got very offended and said to her, I don't need your help or your input.
Oh, wow.
And then she proceeds to go on. She says, every time I see a white person, I feel like they're judging me. So now as my friend who's white walks down the street and sees a black person, she's like, are they thinking that I'm judging them? Are they thinking that I'm judging them? I don't even know them. But the first thought that pops into her mind now is because, she thought this girl was her friend and was trying to give her some advice on how to handle a situation. And, the girl turns around and slams in her face that she's white and she has no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so you're right. I think that it's a perception. So if somebody called me a Polak, yeah, I might be offended by that.
Yeah.
But if somebody called me,
And I guess, so one of my best friends, she's white and she married a black guy. And I mean, she doesn't use the N-word like in a derogatory term, but like as like a black person would call another black person that,
Yeah.
But one time I was with them and he, I don't remember what he said, but he said something about me being white. And I wasn't like offended, but I was kind of taken back. Oh, shit, I don't remember what he said, but I was just taken back, because I just realized, like, if my friend Beth had called me that, I mean, I wouldn't have cared, because she's white too. But because a person of color called me that, I'm like, okay, like, are you trying to say that to be offensive? And it's hard because there's always like that fine line, I don't know her husband very well, so that's also
right.
It took me back a little bit, but I don't know. I think I think, like, perception and how well you know a person, if they use that, then you're probably not going to get as offended. But, I mean, a team with a derogatory term, I think, like Tinker Pollock, I think that that's not okay because that's, like, an obvious derogatory term. But, like,
Right.
Redskins, it's generalizing them, they're, like, the Indians. That's what they are. I mean, I don't even remember what sports it is, but isn't there a sports team where their mascot's the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Redskins.
That's what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang it. I thought it was just the Chiefs.
Well, there is a Chiefs as well, right?
That's what I thought.
Now we'll have to look it up.
I know. Now I'm curious. Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Okay. So what's?
But I don't think there's any problem with that. Their mascot's a wolf.
They changed their mascot.
Okay.
So I think that was one of the ones that they had mentioned that they had changed their mascot.
Uh-huh.
So like in the book it mentioned that some teams had changed their mascots but the Redskins hadn't. But I don't.
Yeah, I'm just looking right here. So the Kansas City Chiefs, their like logo or whatever, it's just a spearhead, whereas the Redskins, theirs is like the head of an actual Native American.
Right, but so
weird.
Okay, so let's go another way with this. Okay, so I almost think that it's honoring them.
That's what I was saying. I wrote all these answers down, and I said it's an honor for them.
I think that it's more of an honor to be remembered. Does that make sense? I mean, so yeah. I mean, I granted they're all lumping them all together and not naming all the different tribes, like the Seminoles, who have their own. One of the teams in Florida has the Seminoles, and they're not changing their name because the Seminoles actually like it and want them to be that way. And so I think that it's more of an honor. I mean, we have treated the Indians so wrong for so long. For them to be honored this way, to have a team named after them, I think of it more as an honor. 49ers it's an honor. They're remembering, So anyway, okay. So 3 Native American high schools in Washington, Arizona, and Oklahoma use the name Redskins for their sports team. Is it acceptable for Native American teams to use this as a team mascot? Why or why not?
I think it's acceptable, honestly.
I think it is, but for the same reason. It's honoring. They're not using it to be derogatory, and they're not using it to say, oh, we think these guys are really bad, that's why we've named our team, or, ha ha ha, you guys are, Redskins are, dirty and lazy. No, Redskins, they're mean, they're tough, they're aggressive, they're tough. I mean, I think it's a way of honoring them. So
yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. So sorry, I'm looking at the answers that I wrote these on earlier. Let's see. Like they're representing like the history, like there are different reservations in these different places, and it's a part of American history. I think that it's harder to do like one specific.
Right. Well, because we have the Utah Utes.
You have the Seminoles in Florida and stuff like that, but there are so many like the Cherokees. I'm part Cherokee, by the way.
And I have some Ute in me, maybe. We're still trying to figure that out. I have
But
a picture of a great great grandma who's an Indian. But I don't know if she is really blood related or if it was another marriage. So
yeah. See, one of my great I don't know how many great grandpas was chief over the tribe and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. And so I think it'd be cool, honestly, to go somewhere. I mean, my mascot was not a redskin; it was a caveman, and I didn't like it. But go where you gotta go. But I mean, just knowing like my heritage and knowing that my ancestors went through so much to fight for their freedom and get their reserves and everything, I think it's, like we were talking about earlier, it's just honoring them, remembering them, respecting them. It's a privilege to be able to know that there are people that are able to continue living their own lifestyle. They're a part of American history, and
yeah.
America has a lot of history. It's been through a lot, and so to have like such an important part of that, I think it's okay to have that as a mascot. I've never thought of a mascot as making fun of somebody or
Yeah.
anything.
I don't think so, because it always seems like it's a way to remember somebody. Now, okay, so so are they making the Sun Devils change their name?
Mm-mm. Nope.
So anyway, so in 2005, the NCAA banned any college with a hostile or abusive mascot, nickname, or imagery from hosting any sort of championship competition. They made a special exception for any team with a formal tribe name, like the University of Utah Utes or the Florida State Seminoles. Why do you think the NCAA would grant this exception? Okay, number one, because Florida, the Seminoles already said they love it. They want them to stay that way. They have permission to be the Seminoles, and I'm sure the Utes do too. What a great! They made us be Utah. Hello, the state of Utah. They wanted to be Deseret, and they made them be Utah. So why not Utes? I mean, that's the tribe that was in Utah. So
yeah, and like I was like the tribes are represented by the place in which they reside, and so part of their history they're honoring rather than mocking. We represent the Utes, we represent the Seminoles.
Right. I think it's a great way to honor them and be supportive. And if push came to shove, why not give them a portion of your tickets? Hey, we will pay for the right to use your, not that it would be that much, but hey, we'll give you a little bit, or we'll pay for the copyright of the name, or whatever, so that we can use it. I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, so the American Psychological Association put out a 2005 statement that says the continued use of American Indian mascot symbols, images, and personalities establishes an unwelcome and oftentimes hostile learning environment for American Indian students that affirms negative images, stereotypes that are prompted in the mainstream society. What are some stereotypes you associate with Native Americans? How do you think using a Native American as a mascot would contribute to these stereotypes, either positively or negatively? Okay, the only stereotype I have, I guess there's two. One, they're drunks.
That's what I put.
Okay, number one, they're drunk. I mean, I've been on the reservation before. So number two is they're proud. So so I have two stereotypes. One is, you're either going to be like super drunk or you're going to be really proud. So how do you think using a Native American as a mascot would contribute to these stereotypes? Okay. You know what? If you use it as a so a Native American as a mascot is not, you're not going to be showing them as the drunk Indian that I think of, right? I mean, they're not going to be the drunk. So I think that it would be more, have a more positive effect. You're going to see them as proud or as a warrior or, strong. I think it would help their image more than it hurts their image. So.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting. I've watched like a lot of documentaries in my time. I love them. And I've actually never really been on a reservation, but I do know that on the reservations they do have a lot of like liquor stores and stuff like that. They're drunk. They also have like their natural ways of things. So they probably, I would assume, not like necessarily like drugs, but they have things that have like the same effects,
Right.
So like they're natural herbs. And then they're also like you were saying earlier, like they're like warriors, like they will fight and they're steadfast and they're strong. I mean, that's kind of what I see. I guess I try to look more towards like the positive, considering I do have family that is Native American, and I do have a lot of friends who are also Native American. And so, but like along with some of the other ones, like the Native Americans I know, they are very aggressive. They need to be the best. They're proud, very prideful in some ways,
Yeah.
And so I think having a redskin, mascot, I think more warrior. I think that they're trying to portray like strength and ability to fight. Like the Native Americans, they didn't fight until they were able to have peace in the land, and that's kind of what I see when I think of that in a sports aspect.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. So last question. Do you think the Washington Redskins should change their name? Why or why not? And any suggestions for a new team name? And I say no.
No, they shouldn't have to.
I think that they're honoring the Indians, and if the Indians want to copyright that and they have to pay a fee every year for the usage, great. Then I think they should. I don't think they should have to change their name, because I think that is a symbol of America and of a proud people. So I don't, strong, brave. I don't, other than, the part about where we talked about them being drunk, but that's more from personal knowledge, like knowing people, than it is of seeing a sports team and going, oh yeah, those Redskins, they're just all drunks. That it's because I know Indians. The Paiute Indians, their reservation was really close to where my dad worked when I was in college, and what the Indians, when they would go have their big powwow, they would get super drunk and then they'd break in to my dad's business and steal stuff. Wow. And it happened every year. And so, so for me, I associate those Indians with being drunk.
Yeah.
But the Washington Redskins, I don't think of them as like that. I think of them as, so, and I know so my sister married a Navajo Indian. They're divorced, but so we went to the reservation and we went to they had a big party and we went and we participated, and it was really, a sad and depressing area. Like the grandma lived in a hogan with no bathroom. And the place where we had the party had no bathrooms. It was like, okay. So we asked, so we were talking to them and they're like, oh yeah, just find a bush, go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I can see that, they have a different thing. So things that we think are important to them. But I think in the same light, I think that, if they were really looking at it, they would see that it's an honor and they're not trying to be discourteous or hateful. So
I mean, yeah, I totally agree. And what's funny? I was like, I know there's another sport. There's a baseball team called the Braves.
Yep. Atlanta
like,
Braves.
Yeah.
And they do that, I mean, they have the chop and the.
Exactly. I'm like, I've never heard anything about them having to
Well, no, they've talked about that, and they think that it's, I mean, they did mention it about, and the chop and the stuff that, they think that's, but you know what? They're not doing it to be mean.
They're just hyping themselves up,
right,
for sports purposes. So, yeah, I don't think that they should have to change their name. I think that they should, just try to portray the message that they're proud to be a Redskin. They're representing, and I think it should even mean more because Washington Redskins, that's coming like from Washington, D.C.,
right,
like the metropolitan area, which I think is also like an even greater honor.
Right.
Because that's like the capital of the country. So I think it could be a really big honor for that. I'm terrible. Like, any suggestions for a new team name? I don't know. Does that include like changing a mascot or just, I don't know.
Okay, so a new team name for the Washington. See, it just doesn't work. The Washington Senators. Yeah. It just doesn't have the same effect.
I was thinking like the Generals or something, but I'm just like, that sounds weird. The Redskins, just.
Yeah, well, the Washington cherry trees. There we go.
There you go. That's a good one.
Chopping them down, and then they could still do the chop.
Perfect.
So, anyway. All right, so I'm going to download this.
Okay, perfect.
And then I will email it to you, and then you can turn it in. So.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming early.
You're welcome. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.